Hi everyone, and welcome to another video. As you can probably tell, this one is a break from the norm. It's a bit of a deviation. I'm not going to be focusing on a masterpiece scaled figure today. I'm going to be looking at, well, part of my Transformers comic collection. I've recently been doing some tidying and digging around in various cupboards and things in the house, and I came across a fairly large chunk of my 80s comic collection. I no longer collect comics, but I collected a lot when I was a kid. Very numerous sort of things, you know. Chiefly the big stuff like Spider-Man. I had a lot of Spider-Man and Zoids, which I've yet to locate, but I know I've got the whole run of that somewhere. I've got the entire run of Secret Wars 1 and 2, which I'm really glad I still have. Almost every issue of Power Pack, the original run of Power Pack, and some of the later run as well. And various other bits and pieces as well. Like I've got some random stuff like Masters of the Universe comics. I think I've even got some very strange stuff like Sectors and things as well, and Zoids. Obviously Spider-Man and Zoids was another one. Yeah, and some other random stuff, along with obviously you know the normal Marvel stuff like Spider-Man, X-Men. I've got the 4-issue Wolverine special, you know, the very or the infamous one that came out in the 80s with Frank Miller writing. I think it was Chris Claremont as well, wasn't it? Again, I'm not a comic book guy, but that I haven't found yet, but I hope to find it soon. Anyway, I am rambling on, off topic. Basically, I found pretty much my entire Transformers comic collection. I haven't seen it in years, and I mean years. I mean, we're talking probably 20 years since I've lived here. It was all boxed up and put away. So I'm basically going to be discovering it or rediscovering it on camera along with you guys. Now, I don't know if this format will work or if it's even something people will be interested in, but I figured, you know, a lot of people will either get a kick out of the nostalgia or it'll be something they've never seen before because they're a bit younger, and you know, it'll be interesting just to see what us old fogies used to read back in the day and what got us into it. And it's fair to say that actually my love of Transformers didn't originate with the cartoon or even with the toys. Actually, it was the Marvel comic. That was what really got me into it. I vividly remember going into a newsagent's with my mum when I was, I guess, what would I have been, about probably 9 years old, I guess, 8 or 9. And seeing the first issue, it's a very, very iconic cover. Prime and Soundwave fighting on the front cover, and begging her to have it or her to buy it for me, and she refused. Couldn't spare the 25p back then, so I never got issue 1, which I was will forever haunt me. But I did start collecting from issue 2, and I only missed a few issues, I think, in the original sort of 20 odd. After that, I had pretty much every one up until the very end of the run, when it started to all get a bit crap. And sometimes my subscription wouldn't be delivered, and I wouldn't check. I wouldn't check for weeks, and then I'd realise I was missing one. I was like, nah, who cares? But yeah. Anyway, this may or not be fun. We'll see. You could hear me probably cry for the state of some of these things. I haven't seen them in years, but as I said, I don't have issue 1, but let's get rid of this poster, which was a really nice extra I found, actually. It's from 1990, so not from like the 80s, but you know, nice illustration of Ironhide, Prowl, Wheeljack, Sunstreaker, Jazz and Inferno there. Inferno, the odd one out really when you think about the first wave, but yeah, it's a nice little thing I found, just using as a placeholder there. But let's get this out of the way, and let's bring in the first of the issues that I've managed to dig out. And I may have to reposition the camera somewhat here. There we go. And we have issue 2. And as you'll know, obviously this is the UK comic, the number 2. Which was fortnightly back then, as I say, for the princely sum of 25 pence. And the designs on the cover obviously are all based on the toys rather than the animation models, which was the norm in the UK for the early part in terms of covers, but also for some of the stories we had a lot of fill-in stories because we needed to produce more material, and that obviously the format of US and UK comics was different back then. So we ran out of content after the first 8 issues of this comic, which I think were the first 4 of the American, and then they started producing their own content, which used very different, toy-based characters. But let's go in. You'll see obviously on the front, you've got stuff like Doctor Who and various other bits, but it's if we open it up, you can see there's a lot of really cool stuff that I remember from when I was a kid in here. You've got the robot watch. I think I even had one of these. I'm pretty sure a lot of people in my school did, my primary school. And then you can see we've got the usual mix of both mono and full colour. Now this is obviously starts off mono. This really takes me right back. I mean, you can see the designs here are not at all toon accurate, and scales right out of the window, but right there you've got the Ark, you've got Optimus's repair bay there, you've got Megatron and with his slightly off spec fusion cannon there, same with a face, Prime with what looks like a face there. You've got giant oversized Buzzsaw and Laserbeak, Ravage, Rumble and Frenzy there. Yeah, but this was what really got me into it, was these first sort of 8 issues of the comic. I love this arc, if you'll excuse the pun, arc. But you'll see also stuff like Ironhide and Ratchet here. They're in their toy forms with the weird deformed, and Huffer's got his claws and gears are the same in his background, and Brawn as well. So yeah, really really odd how some of them look fairly toon accurate and the rest are very toy accurate. But yeah, as you go through you'll find that we get to some colour content. Now you've got Buster Witwicky as he was back then, no Spike at this point, certainly no Sam, thank Christ. But yeah, as you go through you get into some of the other content. I mean, it wasn't, they really had to pad it out with a bunch of stuff, and yeah, not all of it was particularly interesting to my 8 or 9-year-old self. This is some really cool stuff. The first battle between the Autobots and the Decepticons ever seen on Earth. Obviously loses some of its impact being mono, but there were collected comics that remedied that. Yeah, again, as you move through, I'm not going to go through every page obviously because we'd be here forever, but you had things to win. Probably my favourite jet when I was a kid, actually. In terms of the colour and design, I loved Thundercracker. But yeah, you could win a Decepticon Seeker, or I don't think they were called Seekers at this point. They were just Decepticon planes in the UK. Bit of old school Doctor Who there, and then Machine Man. And I remember this quite fondly actually from when I was a kid. I did enjoy reading this. I don't know how it holds up today. I could have a look, I guess, but not right now. But yeah, that's the look at issue 2. And you could have had your own Spidey watch as well if you were so inclined. I'm gonna go through some more issues, probably a little bit quicker than I did that one, just to look at the covers and stuff. I mean, I always loved issue 3's cover with Bumblebee on the front there. That's a really nice looking cover. Again, not toy accurate, not a toon accurate design at all. But this was obviously. Then you've got that weird off spec cliff jumper there, the yellow cliff jumper, which I did have, I think, when I was a kid. I think I probably still have it somewhere, maybe in pieces. I don't know. A lot of my 80s stuff didn't hold up, or it's gone missing. But yeah, this is where the story starts to kick off, and so we start to get fact files, on the Autobots, which I liked. I was kind of, I still am quite a sort of a statty type person, so I loved that as a kid. It played to my sort of strengths, shall we say. As one person lovingly said, my autistic tendencies. Yeah, again, totally off model in terms of looking like the Toon, but there is something I like about these early designs. You know, Megatron with the darker head, and you know, the colours for the jets sort of all over the place. Soundwave, you know, it's purple with yellow eyes and a mouth, and yeah, it's interesting. It's nice to look back at it and see this stuff. But I think, yeah, obviously it's the introduction of Sparkplug Witwicky here, who was a damn sight more useful in the comic book than he was in the live action films that we got later on, obviously, and he wasn't even Sparkplug then, was he? But yeah, he was also more than he was in the Toon, really. I mean, he did, you know, obviously he did a lot in the Toon, but I don't know, I just felt like he obviously, well, as you go on, you read the series, you realise what he accomplished in this. Oh, here we go. We've got some wonderful 80s stuff here. We've got the Fall Guy, Manimal. God, I love Manimal. It was rubbish, but I loved it. Knight Rider, obviously. Fraggle Rock, Spider-Man, Hulk. I think I had that Return of the Jedi annual. I may even still have it. Obviously, everyone loved BMX back in the 80s. Not so much Wham or Culture Club back in the day, but there you go. Interesting look back in time there. Some nice animation cells there, or shots of animation cells from, I guess not even from the Toon. I think this is from the early promo, isn't it? So there's some slight variations in the designs. And again, this this will be familiar to anyone who bought the toys back in the day. These adverts, I love actually. There's a guy on TFW who does sort of mock-ups of these, but with the toys done in this style, and they look really, really good. You know, kudos to him. They really do look the part. Like, he's really captured the sort of feel of the 80s look with the MP figures standing in with the cartoon paneling and the writing and everything. It's really, really, really good. So yeah, if you ever come across that, check it out. What else have we got here? I mean, as I say, I'm in danger of just, you know, reading the comics, but I don't want to do that. I'm just trying to find stuff of interest. More Machine Man, really. Nothing particularly excited. They had this weird robot roundup every week, which was funny. They're looking at robots that, you know, I think they thought by now we'd all be, you know, sort of being weighted on hand and foot by robot slaves, but alas, that didn't happen. No fembots yet. Moving on, yep, again, another awesome cover there. I love that. Again, a slightly more Toon accurate design coming in now, albeit with a slightly different colour scheme. But yeah, more fact files, one for Gears there. You have reader submissions, drawings. I mean, you know, don't know how old that guy was, but that's not terrible, is it? Bit of A-Team there. Yeah, again, I mean, I don't want to start reading the stories, but there are some. They usually have competitions in every issue, I think. Again, I do love this artwork. It's you know, I know by today's standards it's pretty simplistic and that, but it really takes me back reading these as a kid. Still got that weird hybrid style though. Although they're more on model Toon-wise, they're not exactly right, and the colour scheme's often remained off actually for characters over the course of the series. Some of them never ever got their real colour schemes. Let's see if we can find something else. Oh, another Spider-Man promo. I can't believe all these comics were like 25p. Some more artwork from the show, from the promo show. Slightly different design for the characters there. Looks really good. What else have we got? More of those ads. More Machine Man. More robot watches. Yeah, I don't think there's anything particularly out of the ordinary here. Let's move on. Here we come to issue 5. Again, very toy style artwork on the front. Really great, but again, at odds with what's in the comic. Who do we get? You'll see there my terrible scrawling where I actually spelt Decepticon wrong and then spelt it correctly because they put Autobots instead of. Yeah, brilliant. I was 8 then. You'd have thought I'd been able to spell it then, wouldn't you? But yeah, Megatron there, obviously. That's the problem. See, I wrote on a lot of things when I was a kid that when you're older, you're just like, for God's sake, boy, why did you do that? Yeah, some fantastic artwork here. Really love it. It's really great. I mean, this comic's seen better days. Obviously, the cover's coming off, and you can see some of them are falling apart already. But this was probably the worst one yet. Megatron looking pretty on model there. In fact, most of them. But you know, the variances in colour, etc. Oh God, there's Mike Reed there. Jesus, let's skip on quickly. Yeah, oh, there's, I forgot to mention, yeah, obviously Buster had a girlfriend called Jessie and a best friend called O. Literally the letter O. More Robot Roundup. I mean, the size of these comics, probably only about a third of it was Transformers. I always love this bit with Laserbeak using his little demonstrated ability, his eye beams, which never really showed up in the toon, yeah, to sort of cut through things. And then Rumble, back when the Transformers used actual fuel rather than energon. As you'll see there with Rumble, and it is Rumble, god damn it, red and black, that's Rumble. They say so many times in the comic. It was the cartoon that got it wrong. Some off-brand seekers there. Nick Fury and Spider-Man. Apparently, although Transformers doesn't exist in the main Marvel universe, for a couple of issues in the early run, Spider-Man did appear with the symbiote suit. So in that universe at least, there was a Spider-Man and he somehow got a symbiote suit, even though the rest of the Secret Wars presumably didn't take place because it's not the main Marvel universe. So go figure. Anyway, let's get that out of the way. And oh, this is a crying shame. This is one of the best or most memorable covers in the whole run, and I've only got half of it. Oh, look at that. That is oh, that's tragic. Oh, that is tragic. Oh, I don't know how that happened. I mean, I wasn't as careful as a kid as I am, obviously, as I got older and as I am now, clearly, but I was not terrible with my stuff. I think just over the years, you know, it's 30 plus years ago now and this stuff just happens. But I love that artwork. It's fantastic. You get an Optimus Prime profile there, which I haven't defaced because they got it right. I guess we'll never know how that Machine Man ended either. Oh, stock exchange, yes, that was a thing where you could write in and offer a figure for trade, and people would, on faith, send you a figure and vice versa. Back when people had faith in things like that. And again, pen pals and stuff like that. He has a ZX Spectrum 48k RAM computer and he's 9.5, bless him. Probably would have been a friend of mine when I was younger. I had a 128 though, so maybe I'd have just, you know, bragging rights. Let's have a look what else we've got. Yeah, I love this. I've always loved this issue particularly. Absolutely fantastic, and so much so that I did a little bit of art, well, photoshopping of my own recently when I got is it Bad Cube's Grump? Yeah, it is Bad Cube's Grump, isn't it? And I sort of posed him in the this pose, this exact pose here, and photoshopped him into this comic panel. So you've got the original comic artwork with Bad Cube's Grump pulling that pose as best he can. That actually looks pretty good, considering I'm not much of a digital artist. But yeah, this is a really great issue. You know, you've got, just because it's got Spider-Man in it as well. And when I was a kid as well, Spider-Man was also one of the coolest things ever. And black suited symbiote Spider-Man was an even cooler version of that. So, you know, yeah, more Robot Roundup. The classic Who Dares attempt ensnare Megatron bit when Spidey thinks he's webbed him up and hasn't. More artwork there, original Megatron design, which I don't hate actually. And then yeah, it just moves on more. It's when Spidey's getting a bit arsy that the Autobots don't seem to care that Gears is dead, but obviously he doesn't really understand that Gears isn't dead, he's just damaged and he can be rebuilt and reactivated given enough time. Bit of Captain Britain there. And yeah, more Machine Man. Ooh, a Transformers keyboard competition. I mean, I don't really know what that's got to do with Transformers, but it's one of those spot the difference things by the look of it. Let's not play that now. And then, yeah, they had these weird things like Matt and the Cat. Like, it's a very strange, slightly adult thing, I think, some of them. Maybe not this one, but some of them were a bit weird. But anyway, that's that. And yeah, that's a crying shame that one of my favourite covers is damaged to that degree. Moving on, we come to another one of my favourites, issue 7. And yeah, look at that. That's awesome. Autobots Last Stand Part 1. This was the one when it was leading up to, like, you know, some of my, well, the introduction of one of my favourite all-time characters, actually. You know, a bit of Bumblebee there, some more Stock Exchange, and Anthony Temple, who was in charge of boys' toys at Hasbro. Haven't really got time to think what Anthony had to say. I'll read what Anthony had to say, sorry. Yeah, again, like, I'm well aware I'm flying through these now because I'm just really trying to give you a flavour of what they were, but it's bringing back so many memories as well. It's difficult to articulate, and the smell of the comics as well, they really take you back. But obviously a lot of this stuff is available online if you know where to look. You don't even have to look that hard, to be honest. If you can use Google, then you'll be able to find much better quality versions of these to read. I mean, damn, Buster had a sexy girlfriend. That's all I'm going to say, you know. I think he's punching above his weight there. Ratchet with his weird colour scheme that he had in the comics. And, oh, Caravan of Courage. Wow, that takes me back. I probably did see it at the Odeon as well, although not in Marble Arch. Yeah. Oh, it was a terrible film. They both were, but, you know, god damn it. This is another iconic one for me. Megatron walking out, fully fueled, after Sparkplug's been coerced into making them new fuel. Comes out, the military opens up with literally everything they've got, short of nukes, and he's just there laughing at them, like, got nothing there. Come at me, bro. Yeah. Megatron gives a bit of a fusion cannon to Starscream's face there. As we'll see a lot more antagonism between the two as the comics go on, as we know. Here we go, here he is. Here's my boy. The introduction of Shockwave, albeit in black and white. And there we go. I just love this guy, and obviously the Dinobots as well. I was never much of a hardcore Dinobots fan, not like a lot of people were. I was far more into the bad guys. But I loved Shockwave. The second I saw his design, I was like, oh my god, he's so cool. He's got one eye and a big gun on his arm. Why is he not in it? And, well, we know what happened there, don't we? Oh, some more reader drawings there, you know. Varying levels of complexity. Some of them pretty good, some of them not so good. What else have we got? Oh, a bit of Harrison Ford there, Indiana Jones. And really, yeah, we're going through, and there's a word search there, which I never did when I was a kid. Wow, unbelievable that I didn't do it. I used to deface things, and I didn't deface that. More Machine Man, all the way to the end. This one's in pretty good nick, actually, this issue. Obviously, it's a bit ripped, but, you know, compared to some of them, with the covers completely torn off. And that leads us to the Autobots Last Stand, Part 2, which is issue 8, which concluded the US run of the comics. Again, you're getting a lot more on model now with the designs, and yeah, a bit of Ravage there. I did the word search there, obviously, so obviously I did deface comics. Yeah, again, so annoying that it's in black and white. I mean, I guess it's what it was back in the day, but you know, it looks really good. The artwork's still great, and you get the odd colour page. Again, completely incorrectly coloured models there for most of them. Ironhide's totally red. Shockwave's this sort of weird magenta. Yeah, it's. I did like that. Characters like Buzzsaw and that they had voices, and they got a lot more panel time than they ever got screen time in the show. I like that the animals, so to speak, could talk, because you know they're robots at the end of the day, so they should be able to. They've just got animalistic forms. Yeah, again going through this, some really cool stuff there. I'm not sure that's how physics works, that if he punches hard enough he flies over his head. I don't think that would actually happen, but there we go. I don't think physics really matters much in Transformers. Another word search, and there we go. We've got the Autobots are defeated, Prime's lost his arm. You know, it's all looking really bleak. And then we find out why old Sparkplug was worth his weight in gold. All the Decepticons start writhing around and collapsing like they are there, because he's poisoned the fuel. And it looks like the Autobots have won, and then who should blow the crap out of them and make his grand entrance but old Shocky, the cycloptic jackass himself. Yeah, that pretty much sealed him as my favourite ever Transformer, at least until 1986, but he's still pretty high up there. And his comic book depiction will always be how I remember him. I didn't really like the snivelling little toady from the cartoon, but some of his later cartoon animation interpretations are really good. You know, I like the one from Prime, etc. They're really great. Some more artwork there. It's quite nice. I mean, we're back on the end now of Machine Man. There's not really much to go through in Transformers content. As you can see, there's so little Transformers content in the Transformers comics. But yeah, that's the end of the initial eight issue run. And then you'll see this here, issue 9, is when we start going into the UK only content, which you can see there goes back to using the toy models, like Jazz there and his very, very toyetic model there. And it's set in England as well, which was I really loved as a kid, because it was great. It was like, you know, it's a very American thing, and then all of a sudden it was like, you know, very, very English dialogue, very English locations and stuff like that. So it was great. I mean, that concludes the eight issue initial run. I do have obviously more. Issue 9, in fact, I was going to bring in and show everyone, but this is where it all goes wrong. Because here we go, here is issue 9, or at least here is issue 9's cover. Side swipe there. Issue 9 so far is nowhere to be seen. I don't quite understand how, given that it was with all of the others, and I definitely have no recollection of it being missing when I was younger. I would have put them all together in the bag. They were in separate bags and things. Have been for 20 odd years. I don't know how that's gone. It is very sad, because yeah, that's the first ever UK original story and it's gone. But it was the Man of Iron saga, which was okay. So the designs aren't like as nice as the toon ones, and the stories probably aren't as good as some of the best ones in the American comic, but they were great for the time. Like I said, they really, you know, if I bring in, I will go on. Let's play through. Let's bring in maybe see if we can go for this arc. I'll be quicker just to show you some of this stuff. But yeah, the Man of Iron arc. You can see a toy version of Mirage there. Starscream character profile there. Commander. Yeah, you'll see here, like, the style of artwork's vastly different because it's UK original. The cover's falling off of this one as well. I guess that explains how the inside of the comic went missing. But yeah, you can see that there is, there's what was his name? Sammy, I think. Was his name Sammy something? This kid. He was having a dream about robots, and then it was all very sort of Arthurian legend type stuff. Yeah, Sammy his name was, wasn't it? And there you can see you've got he's dreaming about the Man of Iron. It's very English looking people, and very English dialogue. And Return of the Jedi, awesome. Yeah, as we go through, it's a mix again. You got a bit of jazz there. You see inside of a transformer, the dash, how that looks pretty cool. Although I don't know, if I saw that car parked up alongside me, I'd have been like, what the hell's that doing in UK, when England in 1984. Some more questionable artwork there. Gremlins. I watched that last night actually with my 6-year-old for the first time. Probably bad parenting, but he actually loved it. Robbie the Robot there. Some more Sammy getting kidnapped by the Autobots. More Machine Man. I forgot Machine Man went on for a long time, didn't it? But yeah. More artwork, very toy based. You'll see Thundercracker there. And Sunstreaker data file. And really, like, this sort of style of artwork here is so different. I mean, look at those there, Jazz, Trailbreaker and Mirage, very, very different. Even the Decepticon jets look very different. More Jazz that I missed. Trailbreaker getting owned by Seeker there. Basically that was Trailbreaker's, my first recollection of seeing Trailbreaker, just this black husk. That's a jet getting its arse owned as well. Unless that was Ramjet, he's in trouble. Oh, and there's Blue Streak looking like his toy. He even does like the little swivel. See the way they've drawn it with the lines, the action lines. He's up and he swivels round, and then bang, that jet is not looking too healthy. Which makes sense because Blue Streak's a gunner, you know. Here we've got some Insecticons, albeit with red canopies. They not how they actually were released. That's me. Some more fantastic spelling. I've missed the E from Cybertron. Yeah, there we go. Very, very, very toy-based design. See, I mean they're good. I mean they look good, but they do look very much like the toy. And this was all about how there was the Man of Iron was a navigator from Cybertron, had the key to finding the planet, etc. And this kid, for some reason, held the key to help the Autobots find it. I forget why now. A bit of Human Torch action there. What have we got here then? Oh yeah, this is another one where Jazz is nose diving into what looks like Skywarp, although you can never tell with the colours in this comic. Well, there is Skywarp actually, so maybe it was. And yeah, this all just carries on very similarly. We've got a mix of artwork. I'm trying to get to the actual Man of Iron himself. They find this giant ship. Well, sorry, they bring this giant scout ship over. I don't know where this was on the arc. They never seem to use it again. But there is, there is the Man of Iron. I've gone past him. So yeah, the Man of Iron is this rather rudimentary looking bot that comes out. And yeah, I had a robot that looked very similar to him when I was a kid. It wasn't, but it did look very similar. I think it was actually part of the initial Diaclone Reflector set, which I've got somewhere. That is smashed to pieces, unfortunately. But it did. The gun looks very similar, and so does the shape of one of the individual bots. But yeah, obviously the Man of Iron gets blown to pieces by what I'm guessing is Starscream or something. And then the Autobots come in, and they have this giant fight in colour. Thundercracker gets blown up by Jazz with his shoulder-mounted rocket launcher, which he never had in the Toon. They basically completely destroy this castle in England. And then eventually there's the Navigator. He's waiting, been sleeping there for millions of years, waiting for the Autobots to find him. but it would be too risky to do it for the humans. So Jazz vaporizes him, and then that's it. Sammy never sees the Autobots again, but they haunt his dreams, or the Man of Iron does. And that is the end of that arc, really. I mean, it goes on. There is, again, I could do this all night, literally. All Ghostbusters, yay! You're coming into, again, incredible arcs. If I may do this again, I may sort of pick up in a bit, maybe a part 2 of this. Because you come into some really cool stuff soon. Like, I'll just give you a taste. This is the one where, again, UK content only, where Brawn goes a bit mental. That's supposed to be Sideswipe of all people, if you can believe it. And after a workplace accident, shall we say, and at the same time, good older Starscream is being a bit of a crafty son of a bitch, and he gets on Megatron's bad side one too many times, and him and Brawn have to get they pit both of them against each other in mortal combat. No, not that kind of mortal combat. And the victor will be forgiven, and the loser will be utterly annihilated. And this was really cool. This is where I kind of found out what a badass Starscream was, because he didn't have much characterization in the American one, but in this he had both Brawn and Starscream did. That was the good thing about the UK comics. They had a lot more characterization in the early days, at least. And then from then on, we get let's see, very toyetic art there. And see, you've got the badge on it. See, I've got 2 copies of this actually, randomly. One with the badge missing. This is the one, I believe, where Anti, which is the Autobots computer, goes a bit mental. The Ark's invaded by the Cons, and then Anti. Here we go, Anti. It's a very British name for the computer. Goes a bit mental, and it's a really nice, another good issue where you have like a team up between Windcharger and Ravage, which really fleshes out both of their characters. Really good. I remember this well from when I was a kid. And like I said, with this stuff, we see Megatron actually using his little utilised ability to link up to a black hole here, drawing antimatter, like a complete and utter loon. And yeah, that's kind of it. And then, I mean, as I say, I could do a part 2 if people are interested and they want me to go into stuff like this in more detail. But that leads into then back into the US run with what is possibly my favourite Transformers cover of all time. I've recreated this pose with MP29, albeit the toy here is, or the toy-based version is much more purple than it is lilac. Excuse me. Yeah, this is. I am really going to stop now because I could just go on, but this is where it starts to get great again. We go back in, and this leads into things like the first Combiner and Devastator and Jetfire, like things we take as staples of the franchise now are start to be introduced, and then it's the battle between Shockwave and Megatron for control of the Decepticons, for example. All these things that we all take for granted now. That's where it all sort of kicked off. I mean, it even leads into the special teams, and this is where I find this as well when I was upstairs. A random little special teams comic that you got, which introduced them. It's a poster as well, so it has all of the toys on the back that you could buy, which I did. But yeah, it's only a small little comic, a few pages, but it's always made me laugh how the toys that they're showing looked nothing like the characters they were drawing. It was always quite disappointing. The toys never looked anything like that, that's for sure. But yeah, I found that upstairs as well while I was looking around. That was a really cool little bit. I found other random stuff like this, like fact files from later in the run, with info on Rodimus there, some Unicron stuff. Love that artwork. Looks very much like the O1 Studio cell, far more than the HasLab does. And then, a bit of Metroplex action, some of the Galvatron there. and yeah, the artists. So I also don't feel too sad for me that some of them are broken, because I also found the collected comics for the first 8 issues, and the great thing about the collected comics is that they're full colour. So obviously I have issue 1, again, drawn on it like an idiot as a kid, but there we go, we've got issue 1 there, which I didn't show you before, where the introduction of the Decepticons, very different looking Megatron with his yellow eyes and visor and massive fusion cannon there, and how apparently the Transformers evolved from naturally occurring gears, levers and pulleys, which slightly contradicts later takes on the story. But I guess you could say they're naturally occurring because of Primus, couldn't you? So yeah, doesn't mean it's completely out of continuity, or they don't have to retcon it that much. But Prime's alt mode there. But yeah, this was the first real look at it. At the Transformers, which obviously I never had until I got this collected comics. But I'm glad when I got it, it was in colour, which is good. And as you see, it just looks so much better in colour, like B especially. And yeah, again, the same for here. Spider-Man and Gears look a lot better in colour there. I mean, we've been through all this, so I'm not going to take too long, but just to show you what it looks like. Yeah, so that's the collected comics I've got. They're amazing. I also found randomly the 1986 adaptation of Transformers the movie, which could be an entirely separate thing of its own. I've got that annual somewhere as well, which was if you wanted to find out the full story from the comic, you had to buy that annual. I don't know where it is now, but I've got it. But yeah, I love the artwork in this. You know, slightly different. Like you've got the Matrix this was obviously done off the early concept art, so you've got the Matrix as a big glowing rock. But you actually got more of I love this artwork of Unicron taking a stroll across the cosmos there. But yeah, there's a lot of differences, like only small differences in some cases, but you know, there's enough in there that it makes for interesting viewing. Like I think Kranix in this, he transforms, whereas he doesn't in the film. Cyclonus is regular size, not huge. Galvatron's got his sort of Marvel colour scheme, not his purple colour scheme. The Quintessons and the Sharkticons are slightly different. I mean, there's a lot of subtle differences. You know, there you go. Look, that's the Marvel Comics Galvatron there, and Cyclonus and Scourge. I might do a separate one on this. I do love this stuff, but yeah, it's amazing what you find in the loft or in cupboards when you're not really looking for it. And yeah, as I said, I found other random stuff like Zoids specials. I love the Zoids comic, Spider-Man and Zoids. In fact, I love Zoids more than I love Spider-Man. But yeah, great. And these were like full colour ones. You've got a bit of Red Horn there. I can't remember these collected comics. No, they weren't actually, were they? Oh, maybe they were. Yeah, no, they were collected comics. So it was the first run of it. I do hope I can find the Spider-Man and Zoids there as well. But yeah, as I say, you know, weird stuff you find, and you know, you've got Sectors, Warriors of Symbion, with the shortest lived animation ever, I think. I had all the toys of these as well, and they've gone. I don't know where they went. So much stuff I had, and I thought I still had, and over the years it just must have gone. I don't know how. Got the Gremlins adaptation here. Well, not the adaptation actually. I've got the comic somewhere, the adaptation. But yeah, this is the Gremlins read-along storybook I found as well, with some awesome artwork. As I said, I watched this last night, so that's why I brought that out. The Marvel adaptation of Dragon Slayer, which I still think is a great film, very dark film to this day. Not really like aimed at kids film, but I need to introduce my kid to it at some point. You know, toughen him up. But that's a great thing to have. And yeah, also this Ghostbusters book here, full colour book, which is really great. Sorry, I know I'm going completely off topic here with all this stuff, but I'm just quite stoked, so I'm tacking it on to the end of this. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if not, I'll never do another one. But I've enjoyed it, going back and looking at some. I mean, I definitely like to cover more of the Transformers the movie. There are also some other stories that I'd really like to cover from the comic, particular favourites of mine. Target 2006 being the real standout. That's the one that sticks with me. I love that. And as I said, the stuff leading into the Decepticon Civil War, sort of between Shockwave and Megatron, where they're vying for power, and how Shockwave's dominant for a bit, and then Megatron finally usurps him, etc. And then there's that continual sort of cat and mouse between the two. But yeah, the introduction of Devastator and various other things, the special teams, as I said, all the way up until you get to Target 2006, and also Time Wars. That's another one. Time Wars is amazing. I'd like to cover that at some point maybe, but we'll see what the feedback's like from this. There's not a lot going on in Masterpiece collecting at the moment, so that's why I've decided to do this. And I appreciate I've rambled on for 45 minutes about comic books, but hey, if no one watches it, I'll learn my lesson and move on. Anyway, that is enough. Thanks for indulging me on this slightly off topic, for my channel at least, slightly off topic ramble. And yeah, as I say, I'll probably be back. I'm trying to think of additional content because there's so few figures coming out and stuff like that. But it is tricky because, you know, it's knowing what people are actually interested in. Are you interested in Transformers or just the figures, or any other kind of content? But yeah, let me know in the comments if you think it's a good idea to continue with the series, or if there's any particular things you'd like to look at, anything you'd like to look at in more detail, for example, any bits you're more interested in than others, and I'll do my best to oblige. Until next time, anyway, take care, everyone, and I may, as I said in my previous videos, I may do an end of year wrap up. There won't be a hell of a lot to discuss this year in terms of what I've been buying, but yeah, it might be worth doing one. A little final, here's the state of the collection at the end of 2020 sort of review video. Anyway, that is enough from me now, and it just remains to say take care and have fun until next time.